Abandoned as a child, he was adopted by a millionaire years later. He shocked the world. William is a child born in the shadow of abandonment. He was not fortunate enough to be embraced in the loving arms of his parents, nor to experience the sweet moments of maternal love from the moment he was born. Instead, William had to face a harsh reality: loneliness. From the moment he was born, he was left in silence, with no one to welcome or care for him. Only the sighs of those around him, the pitying glances, and a silent world that he had to walk through alone. William's difference lies not only in his circumstances, but also in the cleft lip and palate he bears on his face. This is not just a physical scar, but also an indelible mark on his soul. Every time he looks in the mirror, he not only sees his own face, but also feels the deep sorrow in his heart, the sorrow of a child who was never accepted. The other children in the orphanage didn't understand, and they never got to know William. Instead, they shunned and bullied him, cold stares and mocking words always following his every step. Day after day, William wandered alone in the deserted playground, where only the swings swayed in the wind and the echoes of lonely footsteps reverberated. No one pays attention to him. No one came close to ask about him, encourage him, or share a smile. Even though there are other children around, William can never fit in. He could only sit quietly by himself, his eyes sparkling as he gazed into the distance, as if searching for something he could never reach. The other children play and laugh, while he can only stand outside like an invisible ghost in his own world. The staff at the camp, despite their efforts to care and help, seem unable to replace what William truly needs. He needs a family, unconditional love, but all he receives are indifferent treatment, random questions, and soulless advice. No matter how hard they try, William's loneliness is always present in every breath he takes. He could not ask for anything more than acceptance and genuine affection. But that seemed like a distant dream in this cold, harsh world. William could only hope that one day someone would see him, see what he truly deserved. But perhaps in a world like this, hope is sometimes the most extravagant thing. While William remains immersed in loneliness and desolate days, life outside the orphanage continues unabated. One morning, the sunlight sparkled through the orphanage window, bringing a new ray of hope. James Harrington, a famous millionaire in the business world, visited here as part of a charity program he was involved in. He, with his bright appearance and confident demeanor, stepped into the orphanage grounds like a breath of fresh air. The children looked at him with admiring eyes, but James hardly cared about that. His heart remained empty, like a deep pit that would never be filled, even though on the outside he had everything that many could only dream of. When James's gaze accidentally fell on William, a strange feeling suddenly welled up in his heart. The lonely boy, standing alone in the corner of the quiet playground like a ghost among the crowd. William's eyes, drenched in sadness and distance, made James unable to look away. He felt as if there was a strange connection, a deep empathy that he couldn't explain. The other children, although still playing, did not evoke anything special in James. Only William, with his eyes shining in loneliness, reminded him of the dark memories from his past. James once went through a painful past, a period when he always felt a lack of affection and care. The loss he had to endure from a very young age had created a huge void in him, which no amount of wealth or success could ever fill. The fleeting relationships, the superficial encounters only made him feel lonelier than ever. That's why, when he saw William, he felt a resonance he had never experienced before. The boy, with his pain and emotional deprivation, was like a mirror reflecting his own past, making it impossible for him to turn a blind eye. Without thinking for long, James immediately decided that he would adopt William. Not out of pity, but because of a deep-seated feeling in his heart that raising the boy would help him somewhat alleviate the loneliness within his own soul. He believes that the love he can give to William will not only change the boy's life, but also help him heal the wounds he has carried for many years. When William stepped into James's luxurious mansion, his first feeling was one of awe at the vast and opulent space. Everything here sparkles and is perfect. The pristine white walls, the magnificent chandeliers, the soft sofas, and the lavish meals prepared in advance. This house, with all its beauty and wealth, brings William a strange feeling. Even though he could touch everything, feel the warmth of the meal deep down in his heart, William still couldn't shake off the feeling of emptiness, as if he were an outsider lost in his own home. James, although kind-hearted in adopting William, is too busy with work and grand career plans. The boy couldn't help but notice that most of the time James was always absent, or when he was home, he was only focused on work and didn't pay attention to the simplest things William needed: care and affection. The feeling of loneliness deepened even more as William sat in the large room, his sad eyes looking out the window, where the afternoon sun cast its light on every tree. But in his heart, it was a long, endless night. Although provided with everything he could ever dream of materially, William couldn't stop wondering about his place in James's life. He wasn't sure if he was truly a part of this family or if he was just a child that James had adopted for some reason, a burden that he felt responsible for taking care of. These questions kept swirling in William's mind, making him feel like a stranger in his own home, unable to find the true connection he had longed for. The long nights passed, William still wandered through the mansion, not knowing where to find the answers to the questions in his heart. He sat quietly by the window, looking at the bright city lights outside, but his heart was filled with unanswered questions. He began to realize that even if living in a luxurious mansion without love and genuine care, everything would just be cold walls without warmth. James, despite having all the wealth and success that many people envy, cannot understand the importance of a true father. He always lived in the shadow of his career, considering money and fame as his main goals, the measure of success in his life. His career continued to flourish, but throughout those years, he inadvertently overlooked something that might be the most important: love and care for his family, especially for William. Although he adopted William with good intentions, partly due to a sense of emotional void in the past, James did not realize that being a father is not just about providing a child with a home and material comforts. The boy needed more than that. He needed afternoons of conversation, comforting hugs when he was sad, and encouragement when he felt lost. James couldn't realize that he himself was also lacking in building a true relationship with his son. He only worried about the issues out there, about the company, about the meetings, without paying any attention to William's feelings, not realizing that the boy needed him at a deeper level. James once went through a painful childhood, and he always sought to compensate for those deficiencies by earning money and building a strong career. But on this journey, he forgot that being a father is not just a financial responsibility. He never learned how to express affection, how to share loving moments and warmth. Even though he tried to do everything possible to ensure William lacked nothing materially, he didn't realize that the absence of genuine affection, care, and sharing was the most important thing. In reality, James is not only a lost father, but he is also a lost man in his own life. Even though he has everything others desire, he lacks the most precious thing: a deep connection with his loved ones. Children don't need a perfect father, but they need a father who is truly present in their lives, someone who is willing to look into their eyes, listen to them, and love them in a way that no amount of money can replace. James, with all his success, could not understand that until he saw the loneliness in William's eyes and realized that he could change to become the father the boy truly needed. One day, in a rare moment amidst his busy schedule, James suddenly realized that it was time for him to change. He decided to spend time with William, not out of obligation or guilt, but because he truly wanted to do something different. His absence in William's life had been too long, and now James realized that he could no longer continue living in the shadow of work while neglecting what truly mattered. With a rare smile, James invited William to play a video game that he knew the boy liked. For the first time during their time living together, both of them laughed and talked happily in the living room. These simple moments, though, brought a warmth that both had been missing. James not only participated in the game, but also actively conversed with William, listening to the boy's naive yet innocent thoughts about the world around him. Both of them strolled through the vast garden of the villa, and stories about life and William's small dreams gradually began to be shared. Gradually, James realized that he was wrong to think that adopting a child was a way to fill the void in his own soul. He understood that love could not be built from feelings of guilt or obligation, but must come from a true, sincere connection. He had once tried to do great things to prove himself, but now James realizes that true love comes from the simplest things. He learned to love William not for any particular reason other than the fact that the boy deserved to be loved as part of the family. James began to change his perception of himself and the relationship between him and William. He was no longer a lost father, but had begun to become a real father. He learned how to spend time with William, create memorable moments, and truly listen to the boy. The feeling of loneliness gradually disappeared, replaced by warm evenings, joyful moments together, and William's smiles that James had never seen before. Both, although there were still many things to learn and discover about each other, had begun to embark on a new journey, a journey of love, understanding, and genuine connection. One afternoon, when everything seemed to have settled into a new routine, the ghost of James's past suddenly returned. Victor, his old friend, appeared suddenly and threateningly. Victor is not an ordinary friend. He is a ghost from the dark years that James once lived through. They had together overcome difficult times, but it was Victor who knew the dark secrets that James had tried to keep hidden for so many years. Victor came not to inquire or share joy, but to threaten. He knows things that James doesn't want anyone to know, and now he threatens to expose everything. This secret, if revealed, could destroy everything James has built, not just his career, but also his fragile relationship with William. That is something James cannot let happen. The feeling of fear enveloped him as he realized that just a phone call or a word from Victor could make everything collapse. James is not only worried about his career, he fears that the secret will affect William's life, the person he has been trying to love and protect. Every day, James strives to create a beautiful environment, a family that William can trust. But now, all those efforts could go up in smoke if his past is exposed. This fear was like a wave engulfing his heart, plunging him into an extremely difficult situation. The feeling of despair spread within him as he stood between two choices: protect himself, preserve what he had built, or protect William, who had now become the most important part of his life. James knew that if he didn't do something immediately, everything would be destroyed. He cannot let the mistakes of the past destroy the future that he and William have begun to build. But how to protect the boy without sacrificing oneself? In that moment, James felt as if he were trapped between irreconcilable choices. He knew that no matter what choice he made, the cost would be extremely high. The secret that Victor threatens to reveal is not just an old story that has sunk into darkness, but a stain that James has long tried to extinguish. At one point in his life, when James was struggling with financial difficulties and feeling lost, he fell into an illegal deal, a shady, risky, and dangerous project where he had to collaborate with criminals to quickly reap profits. Although this decision was not right, in a desperate situation, James felt he had no other choice. However, right after joining, James realized his big mistake. He felt he had stepped onto a dark path with no way back. The feeling of regret and fear made him decide to withdraw as soon as possible, ending all involvement and refusing to continue participating in those illegal activities. However, once you step into that world, everything cannot easily come to an end. And Victor, the old friend who witnessed everything, is now the only one who knows the truth. He holds this secret in his hands like a weapon, ready to exploit it to force James to comply with his demands. This incident not only threatens James's career, but could also destroy everything he is trying to build in his relationship with William. If this secret is revealed, not only will James's reputation be ruined, but it could also put William in a dangerous situation. Those around will know that James was once involved in criminal activities, and that could create suspicion and tension within the community. William, although not directly involved, will be drawn into this story as people begin to view him through the lens of James's dark past. Suspicious glances and gossip will follow the boy, making his already challenging life even more difficult. James realized that he was not the only one facing threats from the past. William could also suffer the consequences. He must find a way to protect not only his own reputation, but also the future of the boy he loves. And in that moment, James knew that the only choice he had was to confront the past, accept the mistakes, and find a way to resolve it before everything slipped away. James sat quietly in the office, his mind spinning with intertwined thoughts. A heavy feeling enveloped him as he faced a decision with no easy choice. Victor had given him two paths, both leading to serious consequences. He could choose to pay Victor, buy back that secret, but deep down understood that it would only be a temporary solution, and everything would explode again in the future. A life lived in fear and deceit, though it may protect his reputation, will certainly never bring him true peace. He cannot continue living like this, cannot continue prolonging the deception. On the other hand, if he decides to face the truth, it won't just be about bearing the consequences of his past, but also the potential danger to William. He fears that those around them will look at William differently, creating pressures and doubts that the boy does not deserve to bear. But in that moment, James realized that what mattered most was the love he had for William and his safety. He couldn't let a terrible secret ruin his son's life. William deserves a future free from the shadow of the past. Finally, James's decision became clear. He would not continue to avoid it. He doesn't want to live in fear anymore, and even less does he want William to live in a family full of lies. He decided to confront his past, not only with Victor, but also with William. He will tell all the truth, even though he knows it will be a difficult confrontation, and it might hurt the boy he has tried to love and protect. But James understood that only the truth could free him from his fears, and only the truth could truly help him protect William. With a strong determination, James stepped out of the room, ready to face the past and accept all consequences. He desires nothing more than to protect William, not only physically, but also mentally. Because in his heart, nothing is more important than his son, and James is ready to do anything to keep William safe, no matter what challenges he might face. James cannot continue living in the fear created by Victor. Deciding to confront him once more, he felt as if he were stepping into a final battle, a battle not only to protect his reputation, but also to safeguard William's future. The conversation between the two was tense, with threats and schemes from Victor, but James remained unfazed. He flatly refused Victor's demands, not giving him another chance to threaten him. Victor, with his sharp words and wise nature, had tried to corner James, but now James was no longer the weak and easily manipulated man he once was. He was ready. Thanks to the help of a skilled lawyer and the reliable allies James has accumulated over time, he has quietly gathered enough evidence to expose Victor's plan. The important documents and irrefutable evidence have been gathered, enough to prevent Victor from continuing to threaten him. With the evidence in hand, James created a decisive confrontation, not merely to resist, but to eliminate Victor's threat once and for all. He no longer had the ability to use James's secrets to threaten him, and the pressure from the legal evidence left Victor with no way out. In a final, tense meeting, James not only silenced Victor, but also forced him to leave his life and William behind. Victor's threat has finally been eliminated, and with it, James feels as if a great burden has been lifted off his shoulders. Despite the losses in this battle, James felt that he had done the right thing. He not only protected William, but also stood firm against the challenges from the past. Now, he can continue to build a bright future for both of them, free from fear or haunting shadows. The relationship between James and William is now further strengthened, more robust than ever, as they have together overcome a journey full of hardships and challenges. After facing the past and overcoming all the challenges, James and William not only found peace, but also felt a deeper connection than ever before. What they have overcome together has made their relationship stronger, more genuine, and unbreakable. James, who used to only chase after success and money, now understands that the most important thing in life is family. He no longer measures his worth through his career or the numbers in his bank account, but through the love and care he gives to William. Together, they began to build a new home, where not only material comforts existed, but also a place where love, trust, and truth were always present in every action and every word. James was no longer just a legal father, but had truly become the father William needed. He spends time with him, taking care of every little detail in his son's life, and most importantly, he knows how to listen and share. William, in that love, feels the safety and warmth he has never experienced before. Both gradually found joy in simple moments, from having breakfast together in the mornings to playing in the garden in the afternoons. Each passing day, the love between them grew stronger, becoming a solid foundation for all actions and decisions in life. They have built not just a house, but a true family, where there are no distances, no deceit, only love and honesty. The story ends with the image of James and William together, hand in hand, laughing under the sunset. James realized that family love, genuine love, and the presence of loved ones are the most precious things in life. All the fame, money, and success cannot compare to the happiness he feels when he sees William smiling happily. They have found a new life, a life full of love, peace, and faith in the future.